Hey folks, Pat here from DNS, and this Madison area fishing report is current as of May 10th. Well, how did everybody's opening weekend go? I know we had a lot of people through the shop, so I know a lot of folks were out there doing it. Heard from quite a few folks, of course, and a lot of people did well. Some people struggled, and so I'd be curious to hear how everybody did. If you've got pics you want to post, feel free to post those below, or maybe a good story to tell. Love to hear how folks have been doing. Of course, with it being opening weekend and the fishing season's rocking and rolling, got a lot of stuff to talk about. But just a few quick announcements. We've had leeches for several weeks now, but we do got a nice batch of some larger ones in. I'm not quite calling them jumbos because there's some smaller ones mixed in there. But yeah, it's a great batch if you want to come in and get stocked up, or of course, if you're just getting out on the water. I got some nice leeches in. Got the front door cleared off. It's after kind of show season, if you want to call it that. Now we're into local bass tournament season. So we've got the 39th annual Don Hintz Memorial Lake Wisconsin Open Bass Tournament on May 18th up at Lake Wisconsin at Remy's Thirsty Moose. I've never been to this event myself, but I've heard good things about it. So if you're into that tournament scene and stuff like that, check that out. The Yahara Fishing Club dropped off a poster the other day. Their kids fishing day will be right here in the backyard of the shop at Warner Park at the Rainbow Shelter on June 1st. So if you've got a young person that you want to get into fishing and don't know a lot about fishing yourself, or just want easy access to it, this is a great opportunity. Kids walk away with a free rod. They got hot dogs and snacks and folks on hand to help you out with instruction or baiting your hooks. We're happy to provide the bait for that event and help those folks any way we can. So anyway, June 1st, put it on your calendar. I'll be talking about it the next few weeks. Also, next weekend, Casting for Kids is coming up. This is a great event benefiting UW Children's Hospital and Cancer Center, Carbone Cancer Center. But yeah, great event. Local anglers kind of loan out their boats and act as kind of guides for local people that pay to get taken out, and it all benefits a great cause. So they have, a website here at casting, the number 4kids.org. And, if you can't make the event or get in a boat, you can help by joining their live auction or just sending them money. So check it out. I think that pretty much does it for announcements. I guess as far as the report goes, we had some warmer temps this last week with highs in the upper 60s and 70s and some thunderstorms on Tuesday. And a good soaking rain yesterday brought a bunch more rain or water to the area. This weekend looks pretty great, and next week looks nice too. So a lot of good opportunity to get out and do some fishing. The Mendota buoy isn't up yet out here off Picnic Point. I think it is out there because it's recording temperature, air temperature and wind speed, which is valuable information. But at the same time, it would be nice if they had that cord back in there so we could get some of the water temp information going soon. So hopefully they get that figured out pretty quick. All right, and we're back. So generally around the chain with the season opener behind us and a pretty nice week weather-wise, lots of folks have been getting out, and the fish seem to be in a good mood. I've heard the crappies are being found on beds in a few spots around town, and the bass won't be far behind them. I would like to ask folks to please not target those fish during this vulnerable time for them. It's important to let those fish do their thing and maintain the good fishing we have here in town. Otherwise, the panfish bite has been good in several areas around town and beyond. Catfish action remains good here on the north side, and bass have their pre-spawn feed bags on. Walleye are up shallow and seem to be in a good mood for the most part. I haven't heard a lot of muskie action yet, but there are plenty of pike out there to keep people busy. All area rivers and streams have been running high with the rain we got, but still fishable for the most part. Get into a little more detail here, but at Cherokee, I have been hearing about the weeds starting to get pretty thick up there. I do still hear about the occasional crappie, but more and more bluegill are being picked up here lately. The bass action is also picking up over there, but it is a struggle to keep your lures away from the many small pike lurking around that area. Down to the 113 bridge, we have, of course, the great catfish fishing down there continues. Lots of big fish in there. Not many eater or smaller fish coming up behind them, so the clock's ticking on those fish. But also hear about some crappies and white bass in there. So yeah, a lot of good fish come through that area every year. And out on Mendota itself, most of the fish being caught in Mendota are mostly being caught in 10 feet of water or less. Walleye are liking jerk baits, swim baits, a good old minnow or leech under a slip bobber is a good idea. Bass have their pre-spawn feed bag on and are being caught in shallow areas pretty much everywhere around the lake. A lot of those fish liking chatterbaits, lipless crankbaits, Ned rigs sometimes. And there's tons of pike out there too, smaller ones. A lot of 18 to 30 inchers are plentiful, and they'll grab all the stuff I just talked about. But it's hard to beat like a large shiner or a small sucker under a bobber. It can be really great for those fish. But like I said, find yourself some shallow water, and you'll likely find fish. So places like North Bay up here, Mendota County Park, Pheasant Branch, Marshall Park, Spring Harbor, University Bay has been pretty good lately. I've heard about some fish in there. University Shoreline as well. Tenney Park, always a good mixed bag over here. And of course, the area below Tenney Park and the locks there is open for fishing again. So, and I've heard about a lot of fish in the river over there. Everything from bluegills to muskies, some sturgeon being sighted in there. And folks are catching fish. So, if you're shore bound, that's a great spot, but also very popular. So a lot of folks fishing down there. Over on Monona, kind of the same deal over there. A lot of fish up shallow, some good bass action being caught. Haven't heard a lot in the way of walleyes off Monona, but the area here where the Yahar River dumps in is a pretty safe bet for all species, really. The fish like to just hang out there. Otherwise, the crappie bite continues to be good down here in Monona Bay and the triangles along the train tracks and Brittingham Park. I've also been hearing about some crappies showing up at the Monona Terrace Wall, which I feel like is kind of early. I feel like that's more of a thing maybe in a couple weeks when things really start to get warm and they're done spawning. But anyway, they're catching fish out there, some crappies and some bluegills mixed in out there. So that's that. On Lake Winger, a lot of small bluegills in there as always, and some nice largemouth. Heard about some sightings of some muskies, some follows some muskie guys had. I didn't hear from anybody personally that hooked up on one, but they're in there as well. And of course, if you got a little kid, a great spot to keep a kid busy with a bunch of tiny bluegills. Do want to remind folks that the area below the Winger Dam over here is closed as a fish refuge until I think it's May 15th. Otherwise, yeah, back out on Monona. Like I said, not a lot happening on the main lake, but all your shallow bays I hear are basically full of bluegills. I heard over here in Weechawuk, formerly known as Squaw Bay, lots of gills around in there, and basically on shallow weed lines around the lake, a lot of bluegills kind of staging out there in that little bit deeper water on the weed lines. As you work your way down the chain here. Lattice Park, great area for some good panfish action in there, and I've even been hearing about some walleye being picked up out in the channel out here. So that's kind of interesting. Otherwise, yeah, these little fingers that pop off here, good bass, panfish in there. Mud Lake, of course, the dredge hole tracks a lot of fish, and there's still a ton of panfish out there, and a lot of good bass action to be had in the shallow flats surrounding that. Over to Lake Farm Park. I've been hearing about some boats hanging out here. I think they're either on crappies or the staging bluegills that kind of stage well before they get into spawn. But either way, there's a bunch of boats out there and they're catching fish. I'm just not sure exactly what. The trestle up here is also a good spot where they got good current come through there. Might pick up a walleye, and of course, never really know what you'll find over there. Lake Wabisa. Itself, though, I've heard about some good gill action down here on the South Bay. Again, like crappies up shallow. Gills are kind of staging out here in a little bit deeper water on the weed lines. Heard about some crappies over in the Babcock and Lake Farm area over here, or Babcock and Bible Camp area. And also a couple walleyes out of there. The area below the Babcock Dam is open to fishing again, so that can be a great early season spot. Again, Kegonsa, I just don't hear about a lot of folks fishing over there. I have heard about some panfish, though, up in the fish camp, county park area up here. And also bluegills, again, on weed lines, kind of staging before they move into the shallow areas to spawn. I guess that pretty much does it for the chain itself. Down on the Rock River is running high, but it is coming down now. I have heard about, but it makes the river a little hard to fish. But I have heard about some fish in the river, white bass up at the Jefferson Dam, and some good catfish moved in there. Walleye I've started moving back down the river. You might find them in deeper holes in the river itself, but I've been hearing about some good action on Lake Koshkonong, where the river dumps in there. Beaver Dam Lake still has a good eater-sized catfish bite going on, and the crappies are up shallow, probably spawning now. So there's that bite going on. That catfish bite should remain good for quite a while. Haven't heard anything out of Devil's Lake, but the Wisconsin River has been good. It is running high, but it is still fishable. The thing about when the water gets high is, a lot of the fish move out of the main current and can move into some of these back sloughs and flooded timber, which can be a lot of fun to fish. But otherwise, the dams up and down the river, Prairie du Sac, Wisconsin Dells, Castle Rock, Petenwell, all are holding fish right now, especially white bass. The walleyes have kind of moved out of there. White bass have moved in and are spawning. Other bass are also around rocky areas. If you're looking for smallmouth, they've got their pre-spawn feedback on, or maybe they're spawning. Might be a little early for that. I'm not really sure, to be honest. Panfish on Lake Wisconsin in all your shallow bays, Moon Valley, Sunset Bay, the Fingers, the Wayland's great. As far as walleye action goes, there have been fish moving out of the river and back down into the lake here. Look for walleyes in mostly shallow water on Lake Wisconsin here too. Otherwise, up the river, like I said, some good action usually between Portage and the Dells for smallmouth. Wisconsin Dells Dam has been producing some good white bass up there. A lot of folks coming through the shop, picking up minnows, heading up that way. Like I said, Castle Rock and Petenwell dams also holding fish. I haven't heard much in the way of action off Castle Rock. Actually, nothing I've heard off Castle Rock. Petenwell, there's been some walleyes and stuff up shallow for the most part, from what I hear. Over on the Mississippi River, it sounds like the water is really high, but here again, great opportunities when the water's high to start fishing some of the backwater sloughs, and some flooded timber areas can be great action in there for really just any variety of species, but all the way up to La Crosse, some good action over there. Otherwise, on the other side of the state, over here to the East Coast, all the salmon and steelhead and stuff has moved out of the brown trout have moved out of the tributaries over here, but the smallmouth have moved in, and pike will start moving in there too, and that can be a great fishery, especially the Milwaukee River can be awesome. Otherwise, out on the big pond over there, they are getting fish from Racine and Kenosha all the way up to Port Washington. Some good coho action out on the main lakes, and I haven't heard about any action from harbors specifically, but I'm sure there's fish moving through there, and that's always a good opportunity. And those fish will continue to move up the East Coast there as things warm up. Otherwise, I haven't heard much out of Green Bay, or I guess the white bass are running on the Fox River over there, and Lake Winnebago. Otherwise, as far as trout fishing goes around the area, it's a great opportunity to get out. A lot of good action now that the season's open. You can keep fish. Many creeks are running high and dirty, though. Hopefully, they clear out quickly. But if you do find dirty water, just head upstream, and you'll likely find clearer water. On the spinning gear side of things, or Rapala Countdown, or crappie-sized tube jig, Panther Martin, small spoon, all those things work great this time of year. Run through deeper pools or runs. If you want to toss meat, it's hard to beat a redworm under a bobber. Run through tail outs and stuff. It can be a super effective way to keep or find fish. Otherwise, on the fly side of things, woolly buggers and nymphs always work. If you're fishing nymphs, look at caddis and blue-winged olive, or mayfly nymph imitations. But make sure you have caddis and blue-winged olive dry imitations in your box in the event that you come through on a hatch. One last thing, we do our Happy Fly Day feature here. I just posted a thing about this on Facebook, but we have the cicadas in. So I'm sure you've all heard about the emergence of the cicada this year. Are going to be a 13-year and a 17-year all happening the same year. So a lot of hype about that. So of course I jumped in on the action and picked up some flies. These look super cool. I'm not sure how effective, I don't think I've ever seen a cicada on the water, but maybe this will be the year. It is big and buggy looking, and I'm sure a trout will grab it. So stop on in and grab one of those. But I guess that pretty much does it for the report. Like I said, feel free to post your comments and catches below. Let us know if you feel like there's anything you want us to expand on, or any questions you might have. Feel free to call the shop at 241-4225, and we can let you know what we're hearing around town. Otherwise, thanks for tuning in, and we will talk to you next week. Good luck out there.